previously said that I'm against foundationalism. If you don't know what that is, foundationalism is the belief that the structure of knowledge is through having basic foundational beliefs which themselves do not need foundations and justifications and meta beliefs to justify that belief. I was previously against that. I have a video done there which talks about why I'm against foundationalism, where I go through a few examples of about why I don't think foundationalism is good, and then I just kind of discuss more of that. But my beliefs have changed. I guess what I was thinking about is that I wasn't thinking that anything could be a real foundational belief, but I found a certain foundational belief which, to me, is foundational. It's basic. Now, I guess like what Husserl says in The Crisis of the European Sciences is that the world, and everything is concerned with the objective scientific world and not the life world. It's concerned with things objective and noumenal, and things which are basically out of our reach, as a phenomenologist and an idealist would say, transcendental idealist or whatever would say. And I guess what I'm thinking is, I think that phenomenology as a method of investigation is a foundational belief. Because basically through science, before the transcendental idealism of Immanuel Kant, the whole philosophy in science was the objective scientific world that we were focusing on. I guess you could count out Berkeley when you say that, because he was an idealist, but not in the Kantian or Schopenhauer sense. Basically, what I'm thinking here is that we've been focusing on things that are out of our reach. We've been focusing on objects which are, noumenal, and we haven't even justified if any one of them exists, because they're all subjects, as Schopenhauer would say. I'm not seeing a book. I'm seeing an eye that sees a book, and in that sense, I'm not saying that I'm seeing an eye. I'm saying I'm seeing through the eye that sees the book, which means that everything is subject relative. It's relative to something else besides the world, is relative to myself, which means if you're thinking about Hegel, you say this is comprehended by you, and we can't do that, but we still do that. I think we all do that, inevitably, of course. And throughout all of philosophy, since Plato, we've been focusing on things that we haven't even justified the existence of. And even since Kant's transcendental idealism, we've still had philosophers and scientists who are still focused on that. The Romanticists were slightly focused on that, some of them. There are, but then there are, most Romanticists were not focused on, that. But we have metaphysicians today who focus on properties and universals and tropes and grounding and all that stuff, when we haven't even justified the existence of any of the entities. And I guess what I'm saying that is foundational is phenomenology. Phenomenology, if you don't know what that is, it is a method of investigation coming from a man named Edmund Husserl, and it followed through Edith Stein, Adolf Reinach, Max Scheler, Martin Heidegger, Maurice Merleau-Ponty, Jean-Paul Sartre, Jacques Derrida, though he kind of went on his own tangent, Alfred Schultz, Aaron Gurvich, Lester Embry, Maurice Nathanson, Brene Kern, Marbach, Werner Marx, as well as many others who interpret, Husserl and stuff like that. But phenomenology is the belief that by Husserl that we should go to the things themselves, and by that I'm not trying to go to the physical existence, the objective existence outside of myself, but I'm trying to look at the book the way I see it, look at the book the way I'm seeing it, and go to the things that I'm seeing themselves. Instead of going to instead of trying to figure out the physical existence of this book outside of myself, I'm trying to look at the book how I see it and investigate from there. Not worry about the physical, objectively, physically ontological existence, but more like try and figure out why I'm seeing, what the deal is with why I'm seeing this book in a certain way, and, figuring out, stuff like that. And phenomenology includes, phenomenologies include Dermot Moran and J.H. Mohanty, and, T.M. Manica, and many others. Things that are prominent in phenomenology include the intentionality by Husserl, the phenomenological reduction or epoche, the intersubjectivity in the life world, the empathy, the evidence of lived body, and things like that, where we focus on the way we're seeing it and going to those things themselves, the things as they are, the way we're seeing them. Now, this is basically not because when we try and figure out objective existences, which are maybe or maybe not independent of what we're seeing, we're still making it way too hard because we can't do it. We're never going to be able to do it yet. Many people still try. Never going to be able to do it. I don't know what you think or whatever, but we're not going to. And I guess what I'm trying to move to here is to say that phenomenology is a foundational basic belief. Because I'm trying to explain this pretty well, but instead of trying to go to the physical, factual existences outside of the representations that I'm seeing, I want to go to the ways that I'm seeing them, the things themselves as I'm seeing them. That's a simplified philosophy. It's simplified. It's something that we can work with. It's something that we can all deal with. It's simple. It's very easy. And it's something that we can do. We can't figure out what if there's a book existence hiding behind the representation that I see of it. I can't figure that out because, as Schopenhauer says, whenever I see this supposed book, I'm going to see it relative to myself. That's a problem, which means I'm never going to get to the real things. Metaphysicians are always like, I want to know what's really there, but you can't. If you can, tell me how, and I bet it's bullshit, but whatever. And then I guess what I'm trying to say here is that phenomenology is a foundational belief. Believing that the method of investigation, science and philosophy, natural science and social science, is that we should go to the things themselves. And I guess why I'm trying to say this is a foundational belief is because I think phenomenology should be applied to everything else. If we accept this foundational belief in phenomenology, we can apply this to every other field in philosophy and science. I can apply this to ethics. Many already have, including Werner Marx, including Paul Ricoeur. Many others have also, because we're through this. You have to read. I have a video about Werner Marx. And I can do phenomenology of religion and prayer by analyzing my actual feelings and my feelings with others of worship and of an actual presence. I can analyze that while not worrying about believing in a dogma. Because what I think that when we believe in dogmas, or that when we think of ourselves as believing in dogmas who we haven't proved the existence of, that ruins part of our spirituality. We need to stop it. Furthermore, I think we can apply phenomenology to aesthetics. People like Dufresne have done that, as well as Ortega y Gasset, and as well as others. Furthermore, I think we can apply phenomenology to politics and government, because instead of, with Husserl's intermediate community of intersubjective empathy, we can sort of, instead of worrying about ourselves through having this design angst, we can, instead of quit being divided by Republican and Democrat, and work among each other to try and make everything better for the collective. And I think if we don't have this empathy, sympathy, and apathy about others, then we're just going to worry about ourselves. If we don't comport ourselves to others, we're always going to be worried about ourselves, and we're going to do all these things which got us in this depression in the first place. Furthermore, we can apply phenomenology to science because of this right here. Husserl did it in his very last work. People like Aaron Gurvich have done this, as well as Maurice Nathanson. Maurice Nathanson has a 2-volume anthology called Phenomenology and these social sciences, which has a couple of his writings, as well as many other people's writings concerning phenomenology and social science. We can apply phenomenology to sociality. Sociology. People who, like Alfred Schutz, have done this. We can apply that to anthropology, which is, also a social science. There's a couple people in Maurice Nathanson's anthology who've done that. And we can apply phenomenology to everyday life. I have here one of the volumes of Analecta Husserliana, which is a constantly publishing. This is a journal that constantly publishes books of writings about Husserl, and this book is a part of the Analecta Husserliana concerning the phenomenology of life, meeting the challenges of the present day world. This is edited by Timonika. And one person I really like in this book is Carmen Cosma, which she wrote the Phenomenology of Life as Chance for Philosophy's Transportation into a New Humanism, which I'm not really into humanism, because humanism is against a lot of things that I'm for. Another person I like is David Grunberg, as well as Jeffrey Wattles. He wrote this thing called Towards the Phenomenology of Creators Willing. There are many other Analecta Husserliana books which talk about things about how it can be applied to other things. So I guess I'm trying to push this whole thing of phenomenology as a foundational belief, because it's a very simplified philosophy. You're simplifying your method of investigating your perception. So I don't know. Tell me what you think. I mean, if you know what phenomenology is and you're really big into it, then, you don't have to be really big into it. Just kind of know what it is. Tell me what you think about this being a foundational belief. Do you think that phenomenology has to be justified through meta beliefs? Now, objections to foundationalism come from people like Wilfrid Sellers in empiricism and philosophy of the mind, where he talks about the myth of the given and sense data. And there's other people like Quine doesn't really give a huge objection to it, but he does a lot of his writings through being a coherentist, which is also a bit of a objection to foundationalism in itself. But I guess I don't like Sellers' argument because he's moving towards the foundational belief in sense data, which is not really the point right now. But I guess tell me what your thoughts are. I want to know, do you think that this is a good foundational belief to have? Do we need to justify this any further? Because if we need justification for this, I'm going to just relapse back into coherentism. So, I don't know. Tell me what you think.